Good evening, everyone. How we doing? I hope all is well. So today, day 4 in the NFL of free agency. Some big news. Um, I think some bigger than others. Obviously, I feel like that comes with the territory, but we'll dig right in. Been busy doing 2 fantasy drafts with trying to do a spreadsheet for the website that I write for about fantasy news. So been been busy, and obviously we have March Madness on the way. To get it kind of started, we're gonna just kind of dig in real quick, and we're gonna start with there were a few signings, not too much. I can kind of go over some. I'll hit mainly offense. That's just what I do on my podcast. Due to me doing the defensive spreadsheet on the website, I will go over some defensive moves. Um, I won't go over all of them. If you want to know, up to date defensive moves, signings, trades, um, whatnot, you can go to Dynasty Pros. Football.com, and it'll be underneath our IDP section. So to get us started, today's probably going to be a semi-quick video, just because so far, not too much to talk about. Day 1 and day 2 was a lot, a lot more busy than day 4. So let's get right in. Chase Edmonds, running back, he signs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 1-year deal. I feel like with Tampa getting Baker, that's going to help Baker tremendously. Obviously, Baker has, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So that definitely adds to their offensive weapons. Braxton Berrios, he's a wide receiver. He signed with Miami on a 1-year deal. That's just kind of, beefing up their offenses as well. Obviously, Tua needs all the help he can get. Sorry, guys, my fantasy football's going off. Paris Campbell, he's a wide receiver. He went to the New York Giants. I feel like the Giants are also, seeing what they can't do to help their offense. Obviously, they made a big move yesterday in getting tight end Darren Waller. So that was very big and exciting news. Let me check this. So he's asking for both. Let's see. You guys kind of hit live on this. He wants both my second round picks for 14th pick, 18th pick, 19th pick, and both 5-round picks. I feel like I don't know how I feel about that one. Let's see. He also sent a secondary pick. Both, again, my 2.2 and 2.3 draft picks, the 14th, 18th, 19th, 5th, 9th, and 5th. I feel like that's obviously a lot of picks, but those 2 twos, obviously big. You can make some big moves with those 2 twos. Let me see where else I'm drafting at. Obviously, I think he is waiting on me to make the trade, but that'll give him. That means I wouldn't pick again until the 5th round, because I have also traded my 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So that'll get me into the 5th. It'll actually give me my 5th back on that one. Um, I think I'm gonna have to decline both of those. I don't think it's worth it to wait until the fifth or the fourth round to make a pick. Obviously, I get the 14th, 18th, 19th, and the 9th. That is a tremendous amount of picks, but I just think, dang, a 2-2's worth it. 9th, 5th, 5th, 9th. I think I'm going to have to decline both of these as much as I don't want to. Is that where I can get back to this? Let him use his 1.9. If he'd have put the first round in there, I probably would have made the trade. But all right, let's get back to the news. Let him make his pick, or see if he sends me another trade. All right, sorry guys. Nazir Adderley, probably butchered that last name, and I'm sorry. He is a defensive back from the Charger. He retired today at the age of 25. Haven't dug too deep into that. Tomorrow I'll try to, dig into that to see, why he chose to retire at such a young age. Obviously, playing in the NFL is rough on the bodies. You hear it all the time from NFL players. We'll skip that story, and because I feel like that's a pretty big one. It can affect quite a lot in the NFL, so I'll wait until probably the end to talk about that story. Robert Tonyan, tight end, goes to the Bears for 1 year, giving Justin Fields another target to throw to. Obviously, they added DJ Moore from the Carolina in the trade for the number 1 overall pick this year. Darius Big Place Slay is back to Philly on a 2-year extension, so they get two of their, both of their corners that were on the market back for next year, and actually the next 2 years, because if I remember correctly, they signed James Bradbury on a 3-year deal. So the only person left for the Philadelphia Eagles is C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which hopefully they do get him back on a long-term or a mid-term deal. That defense last year was outstanding. Obviously, they did lose several starters and their defensive coordinator and their offensive coordinator. So it is going to be interesting to see where the Philadelphia Eagles end up next year at the end of the season. Adam Pankey, he's an offensive lineman. He re-signed with the New York Jets today. Obviously, the Jets need a lot of help in a lot of areas. Hopefully, they can pick up Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. Obviously, he came on to the Pat McAfee show and pretty much said out in the open that he does want to play for the Jets. He hopes to play for the Jets. He just has to have Green Bay and the Jets to kind of finalize a deal to trade him, obviously, because he's still under contract. Dante Foreman, he's a running back to Chicago. He signed with Chicago on a 1-year, $3 million deal. I feel like that is a good pickup for Chicago. Obviously, they lost David Montgomery to the Panthers, if I remember correctly. And then the Eagles did lose a offensive player in Gardner Minshew. He was the backup to Jalen Hurts. He signs to the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, that is a good starting, position for Gardner. I think Gardner deserves it. I just don't think he fit in the run scheme offense that the Eagles are running, and obviously the Indianapolis Colts are, kind of more to a passing scheme offense. They do have Jonathan Taylor, which is a phenomenal running back, top 5 easily, in the league right now. So I'm excited to see where that handles. So hopefully he does do good in there, and we'll see what happens. So I do have another update on a trade. He is still asking for my 2-2s, 14, 18, 19, both 5s, and a 9th. I just don't think it's worth it not to draft until the 5th overall, until the 5th round. Obviously, it is, more picks, but I just don't think. I think I can take my 2-2s and then still not draft to the 5th and be okay. because they're both back-to-back picks. So he is trying hard for him, and I do appreciate it. But I'm going to keep my tutus. I'm sure he's getting frustrated because I keep declining his trades, but hey, it's part of the game. He chose to give away, a lot of his picks, but he actually has a lot of picks. Wow, looking at it, yeah, he does have a lot of picks coming up. I'm not for sure why he wants to, get my tutus, but it'll be all right. So continuing on Gardner Minshew, hopefully, like I said, hopefully that's a good start for him, and I hope he succeeds there. Kind of for the big story, I feel like for today, Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from Georgia. Obviously, he was supposed to be the number one pick overall. He was sentenced to 12 months probation, $1,000 fine, and 80 hours of community service with no jail time. How does this affect his draft? I feel like it's already affected his draft. I think he's dropped into the, probably the top 5, if he's even still in the top 5 right now. He did have a pro day where he was 9 pounds heavier and just looked out of shape. He didn't look good. He couldn't even finish his pro day drills because he started cramping. Obviously, that does not look good. Does not send a good vibe to any NFL owners or scouts. If you're not willing to stay in shape and put in the grind for your pro day, what makes them think that you're not? That's just gonna pretty much tell them, hey, I'm gonna work whenever I want to. Not whenever you tell me, and it's about me, not about the interests of my draft or whatever team I go to. So I think that drops Jalen Carter pretty far down the draft, honestly. Will it happen? I doubt it. He did have a great college career, but we'll see what happens there. For some of the defensive signings, I'll go over. I just kind of have to look through because this is just a mix of the last several days. We have what's a signing today? Naquan Jones, he signed with the Tennessee Titans. He's a defensive lineman, 1 year, $940,000. Morgan Fox signed with the Chargers on a 1 year deal. Boxers, loud and obnoxious. John Kaminsky, a defensive lineman, signed with Detroit, 2 year, $8.5 million. Let's kind of move over to linebackers. Sion Takakit. Yeah, not gonna butcher his name. He signed with Cleveland on a 1 year, $2.5 million contract. Robert Spinal. He signed with the Raiders on a 2 year, 2 year, $9 million deal. Then we have Demetrius Flanagan Fowles signs with San Fran on a 1 year deal. Then we have the DBs and safeties. For today, we have AJ Green, cornerback, signed with the Cleveland Browns for a 2 year, $1.5 million. And then we have also Tavir Thomas signed with the Houston Texans, a 1 year, $2.25 million deal. Tony Brown went to the Indianapolis Colts on a 1 year deal. Tavon Campbell went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a 1 year, $965,000 deal. Roderick Teamer went to the Raiders on a 1-year, $1.01 million. That's just a few signings. Obviously, I'm not going to cover all of them. I just feel like it takes the purpose of us releasing this IDP spreadsheet onto our website. Like I said in the beginning, if you want to access it, you can go to dynastyprosfootball.com and look underneath our IDP section. You can also look my name up or just search Walker, and you can find some of the articles I've written. I've written one on Lamar Jackson, and I wrote an article on the Chicago Bears and the Panthers trade for the number 1 overall pick, to kind of dig into the Lamar situation, because fantasy drafts are happening. They are underway. And, I have seen Lamar Jackson going very early. I would be cautious with Lamar. He set the last 5 weeks of last season, including the postseason game, with a knee injury, but it did come out, that he was able to go. He was healthy, or healthy enough to play at least. But, for 2 years, Lamar and the Ravens have been, trying to reach a deal. They just could never reach it. So, was him sitting out those 5 games kind of part of healing process, but also, a stand-in, so to speak, saying, hey, I'm not going to play because you're not going to pay me. Lamar, he won the MVP in 2019. He deserves to get paid. Obviously Deshaun Watson absolutely ruined the quarterback market with getting the $230 million guarantee, because now everyone wants that, And was Deshaun Watson worth $230 million? Absolutely not. I don't know what the Cleveland Browns were thinking, but you gave him $230 million to, be a mediocre quarterback. So, NFL owners, they don't want to sign, give players fully guaranteed contracts, because, it's so hard to try to, see what's going to happen with that quarterback. Obviously there's, in most contracts, there's, injury payments, for if they get injured, which is very likely to happen. You never hope for a player to get injured, but it happens. It is a very contact sport, and just sometimes things happen. So people don't want to give that fully guaranteed contract just in the case of what happens. So, do I think Lamar sits out? I think Lamar does sit. I think he'll sit for as long as it takes to get a contract, whether it is with the Baltimore Ravens, or if the Ravens do decide to shop him and let him go elsewhere. Obviously, that's what they're allowing him right now, to be able to do underneath the non-exclusive tag. And I feel like that they're trying to do that to benefit themselves, say, hey, Lamar, you think you're worth 250 million, or whatever he thinks he's worth. But, instead of us telling you, hey, you're not going to get that money, we're going to let you go out and try to get to another team to allow you, to see what you're worth, what the quarterback market is. Obviously, it's very hard for NFL teams right now, because, the Ravens are asking 2 first-round picks. Then you also have to pay Lamar. So you're giving a lot for Lamar, but I think Lamar's 100% worth it. He's 26 years old. He's easily got 6 to 7 more years in the league. My biggest thing with draft picks is you never know what you're getting. Like with CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, they're fantastic in college, but, stepping up into the NFL, perfect example, Johnny Manziel, he was absolutely, outstanding in college, no doubt about it. Then he got to the NFL, and, he let money get to his head, and he couldn't make the transition from college to the NFL, which obviously ended up leading to him being cut from the NFL and going to play in the, I think he did a stint in the XFL, and he also played in the Canadian League. I don't even know if he plays anymore now. Obviously he could still be playing, but, he let, money and fame get the best of him. So, Could that happen to Bryce Young? Could that happen to C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson? Will Levis? Absolutely. you know, then next year, who you got coming in at quarterback? More than likely it's going to be, someone like Bo Nix from, Oregon. I feel like is going to be, a very good pick, solid draft pick, first round. Um, there's a lot of talent coming up, absolutely, but you don't know what you're getting. And so with Lamar Jackson, you know what you're getting. You've seen his stats in the NFL. Um, he's 46-15 as a starter, if I remember correctly. So he has a great record. Obviously people like 15 losses, like wow. But if you think about it, I mean that's not even a full NFL season. Of losses within five years. I think he's been in now, 4 or 5 years. Um, so yeah, I think Lamar's perfectly worth that. 2 years and pay him. I mean, we're not going to see another Lamar Jackson for a very long time. Lamar Jackson is very much like Michael Vick, which Michael Vick was a absolute stud. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, no doubt. He changed the NFL. He changed how people play the quarterback position. It was more of a passing quarterback. Obviously they Randall Cobb uh, was a run pass quarterback, but nothing like Lamar, Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb. He could run the ball, but nobody was like Michael Vick. And then obviously Michael Vick had his jail time, and he came back and had a second shot, and he made it. He shined, he excelled. And then we got back into more passing quarterbacks. Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Drew Brees, Andrew Luck. Then all them came in, and we just kind of slowly drifted back to more of a passing type of quarterback position. And then boom, here comes Lamar. Lamar Jackson from the Cardinals in college. So he comes in and he's just a complete freak show at quarterback almost instantly compared to Michael Vick, and very much. I said he was just like Michael Vick. A younger Michael Vick, younger Michael, and he was just a right-handed Michael. Michael Vick was a left-handed quarterback. Lamar's a right. I think that's probably some of the biggest differences between the two. Other than that, I don't see a lot of difference. They both ran the ball well. They both can throw the ball when needed. So I think you sit on Lamar. Um, could he be worth it? Yes, absolutely, he could be, no doubt. But is the risk worth the reward? Taking him in the fourth or the sixth spot in the number one in the first round. Your first round pick can make or break you. Because most of the time you're going to trade. Your picks. A lot of people trade their picks, and you're normally not trading your first round pick. Normally you're trading your second, your third, maybe your fourth. So that first round pick is very vital to your season because one, when are you going to pick again, and who are you going to pick? Obviously, depending on where you're at in the first round, you're going to pick a quarterback. Obviously, I feel like if you're in the third or fourth position, in the first round, you're going to pick Justin Jefferson, no doubt. And then you're just going to try to go get, a mediocre quarterback, someone that still puts up numbers, but, isn't like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes. You're going to go get somebody like Jalen Hurts, who can run and throw the ball. You're going to go get somebody like Justin Fields. I got it. He hasn't had such a great few first seasons, but he's getting weapons. The Bears are building around him. I can see them being a playoff contender this year, no doubt. Then you got, somebody like Kirk Cousins who, can run the ball. He's not going to get you 60, 70 yards a game. He's going to get you those very important, 10 to 12 yards if he has to. He's definitely capable of it. He's going to give you the passing yards. And obviously, if you team up Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, you're going to score points. They're going to run the league. in the quarterback wide receiver duo. Absolutely. They did it last year. They're going to continue this year. Justin Jefferson's getting nothing but better. And Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson's chemistry is getting nothing but better. So, I don't think, pick Lamar. Obviously, I'm not you. I'm not telling you what to do. I can just give you advice. But I think Lamar is going to sit, and I think it's going to cost a lot of fantasy um, league owners money. Obviously, sports betting has exploded, and one of the you know uh, biggest platforms to bet on is sports. And a lot of it is fantasy football. Some of it's betting on games or players. Stat wise during the game. But there is a lot of money tossed around in fantasy football leagues. People take it very seriously. And to go draft a quarterback in the first round, early on in the first round, at that, and for him to sit out, several weeks potentially, obviously not guaranteed, but potentially sit out several weeks um, is detrimental to your season. So just weigh your options. Make sure that you do your research. Is it worth going to get Lamar and losing, 3 or 4 weeks of fantasy football? Or do you go out and you get a stud wide receiver? You get a stud running back, and then build around that. In your fantasy league. It's up to you. But that question, needs to be out there. I think people need to be aware of that, and so take it for what you want. But I think Lamar is, somebody that could cost somebody a lot in fantasy football. But I do appreciate you guys coming on to the show. Um, Tomorrow I'll be back on with more news, trades, releases, retirements. Um, you know, see what happens. Maybe tomorrow is the day that we have our Aaron Rodgers, guaranteed that he's going to the Jets or retirement. Only time will tell. And the only people that know that is, Aaron Rodgers for the most part, and then the Jets and the Packers front office because they're constantly talking back and forth. I have no doubt. But then again, the Packers do have until I think it's like June to trade uh, Aaron Rodgers. But then if they go to wait that long, does Aaron play the game of, hey, I'm just going to retire and you're not getting nothing from me? And then he retires and then just ends up signing with the Jets anyways. We've seen that kind of happen, with Rob Gronkowski. He was supposed to get traded to the Miami Dolphins, I'm pretty sure. And he's before, whenever he caught news of it, he said, hey, I'm just going to retire. And then boom, Miami Dolphins never messed with him. And then he, never retired and came back with the Tampa Bay Bucks. And so, could we see something like that with Tom Brady if they're taking too long to make a decision? Excuse me. Absolutely. No one knows with Aaron. Only Aaron knows. But once again, I do appreciate you coming onto the show. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And don't forget to hit the notifications button to get, notified for whenever I do come on and make videos or post videos. I appreciate it. Thank you. And have a good night.